Okay, before I go ahead and introduce myself in the episode and everything, I just want to start by saying that I have nothing against having strong ideologies. It's just with a lot of the ideologies that people have right now, it's almost like you being some version of a political supporter because you can hold on to them so strongly, but the people that are behind those ideologies that are at the top where all of those ideologies are being pushed are probably going to drop them and move on to a different ideology at the drop of a hat. And for them, it's not going to do anything. But for you, on the other hand, you'll probably end up being the biggest loser out of this because they get to move on with their lives, but you might have fucked up yours and some of the chances at getting a lot better. But then again, that's just something that I am basically saying right now. But up until I give it context, I don't think people will understand. So let me get to that. But first, let me start because, well, manners, of course. Welcome to the Breakdown Podcast, where I talk about love, sex, and relationships from a guy's perspective, as well as a bunch of other guy shit. The man on the mic is Sir Denver B. This is a shorter, less edity, no instrumentally version of the podcast where I get to talk about one topic, and it's usually pretty short, and it usually has no instrumentals, and it's basically just me being on R&R, but still producing content that, was probably bothering me, and I didn't have a chance to discuss it throughout the season when I was doing full-length episodes. And for the most part, that's actually just it. Now, that said, and I feel like if you've listened to like the past 2-3 episodes, you've already heard this a couple of times, so I won't try and belabor it anymore. I'll just kind of move straight into what it was that I wanted to talk about today. Now, there's this thing with ideologies that have come up over the past, you could call it even 10 years, whereby like people have come up with so many different ideologies that have really taken people and people have really lived by them, and they've held some pretty extreme views on it. And I'm not going to say that they're bad, it's just they haven't really had the best results for everyone. Whether you're looking at stuff like the body positivity movement, whether you're looking at stuff like feminism, or should I say modern feminism, whether you're looking at the red pill community or the red pill movement, and, things like men going their way, aka MGTOW. Like, different people have held different ideologies over the years that have sometimes gone in fairly extreme levels, and it's not like they've always worked out for them. And as far as it not working out, it's not just the fact that it isn't really working out for them, but it might actually be hurting them in the long run. And in the case that I have today, I'm actually talking about dating. Now, there was a story that I stumbled onto on Reddit not too long ago where someone was busy talking about contrasting ideologies and how she had gone on a date with a guy that she was super, super interested and into. And she was down for the man up until the guy started spewing some shit that sounded very, and I'll describe it the way she actually wrote it, red pill nonsense. And it is something that I have seen happen quite a number of times where women have said that they do not want to interact or have any sort of relations with guys that do have that sort of belief. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad belief, it's just, it's not like every single one of those ideologies is something that the opposite sex would feel the same about. And in as much as I am going to get into what it is that she said and then give my breakdown, I want people to know that it's not just on the red pill side. There's also very quote-unquote liberal or modern feminist takes that also turn a lot of guys off in pretty much the same way. So as I get into this, I want you, the listener, to know that this isn't me hitting at one gender. This is me hitting at both. Okay? So anyways, the title of this particular post was Contrasting Ideologies, and I'm going to read it real quick. So it says, and I quote, "The pain of meeting someone you feel compatible with friendship-wise, then they start dropping weird ideologies SMH. Okay, the pain of meeting a person you find attractive and compatible with relationship-wise, and then a few days or weeks later, they start dropping weird ideologies. Damn." Now, this guy has already started talking about how women have a biological clock, or masculinity, blah, blah, all that red pill nonsense. You just find yourself staring at them, grieving them already as you figure out an excuse to remove yourself because you know you can't have anything long-term with this person. And the way he's so attractive and funny, it hurts. End quote. Now, let's look at what this babe was basically talking about. She did talk about how she met this guy, she was super interested in him, and they've been talking for quite a bit, but then at some point he started talking about his more ideological beliefs, aka red pill nonsense, as she very nicely described it. And she basically just checked out at that point, because she realized, what, this guy believes in this, he's clearly so far gone. And the thing that I think more and more people, at least nowadays, need to understand, because more and more people are growing day by day, and these are more people that have been spending a lot of time on the internet and picking up on a bunch of these ideologies. Like, I want you guys to understand a couple of things here, all right? And I'm just going to mention three main things, which will probably carry for most of the episode. One, you are not your ideologies, all right? You are a person with values and so many other things, but you are not your ideologies. That's the first thing. Secondly, you need to be in the present reality of here and now, okay? Then third, and most of all, you need to live your life outside of your own head, okay? Those are three things that I want you to hold on to as I get through this episode, so that at least you can understand exactly where the hell it is I'm coming from. And like I said earlier, this is for everyone who has strong ideologies. This is for someone who has some sort of ideology that might be polarizing to the opposite sex. And this is regardless of gender, of course, like I said earlier. Now, when I start off and I say that you are not your ideologies, like, I'm not saying that, you don't believe in shit or you shouldn't believe in anything. It's just, I don't think that you need to hold on to those beliefs as strongly as you think you should. Like, real talk, by the way. It's not that I don't have any beliefs. It's just that I understand that those beliefs can actually be harmful to you. And for the most part, it's not like you have to tell them to every single person that you meet, or at least every single person of the opposite sex that you're interested in that you meet, okay? Because anytime you have polarizing views on something, not unless if you're trying to rage bait people, you're basically opening yourself up to a very good possibility that this person might take whatever it is that you're saying negatively and feel some type of way about it, meaning that whatever situation that you or them could have wanted to be in just won't happen, simply because you have ideologies that seem very, very strong. And the thing is, like, most people might not know this whenever they're holding on to those ideologies, but those ideologies might actually end up costing them way more than they know. In that, there could have been an opportunity for profit or just gain generally, not necessarily profit, whereby they could have been on a plus, but they ended up not getting anywhere with either a person or a venture or an opportunity of some sort, simply because they chose to hold on to ideologies which, like I said at the beginning of this episode, can very easily have the people backing them switch up from one side to the next. And I think one of the easiest examples of this, actually, like, there's so many examples of this that I think people don't fully understand. When you look at, for example, the body positivity movement, Lizzo was backing that shit so hard and she was so into it. And, minus whatever scandal she had with whatever reality show that she had for big women, like, you give her like a year and a half, and she's gone, she's worked out, she's lost weight, and she's not talking about body positivity in that, I can be fat and fabulous all the fucking time. Like, I'm saying this as a guy that likes thick women, by the way. Like, there's a lot of babes that could have basically gone on a much better self-improvement journey if they did not hold on to that as tightly as probably they did. You look at stuff like the red pill movement. There's a lot of guys, like, for example, the guy that was mentioned in this Reddit post here. Dude is good looking. Dude is ticking every single box. He has the opportunity to be with a solid babe. Assuming that the babe that wrote this is particularly solid, or whichever other babe could have been with a solid babe. But this guy decides to spew his red pill ideologies. Like in this post, he was busy talking about masculinity and women having a biological clock and shit. And yet, in reality, when you look at the people that are pushing this movement, that are basically even behind this movement, you find that they aren't even living the reality that they're telling you. Like the guy that wrote the book that basically brought up the idea of the red pill, Mr. Rollo Tomasi himself, is a married man with children. Yet this guy is telling you, like, don't go for this babe, don't go for that babe. Like, this guy already completed that part of his journey, and he isn't really going through any of the shit that you're going through in the dating market right now. So how would he know how to navigate it? So when you look at it quite deeply, you realize that the people that are busy spewing a lot of these ideologies, that are busy telling you that you should follow these ideologies, don't even live up to them. And you yourself might be thinking that these are great ideologies to live by, but these guys don't even live these ideologies. Then also, you forget just how flexible we are as human beings whenever it comes to ideologies that don't necessarily make up our moral foundation or like our moral values. Oftentimes we tend to think that we, should believe in one thing and, that's the way. But we also forget how many times we've switched up on shit like that. Because, and let me give a pretty good example. Like, I grew up in the time when the Tumechil campaign was there and it was preaching abstinence and, we shouldn't be having sex, especially when we're young. And, the whole idea of abstinence was really a thing. And it was an ideology that was really, really pushed through very good marketing in Kenya during our time, which was basically like the late 2000s before the 2010s. And, you look at the people that have gone through that and they kind of moved on to high school and shit. Like, a lot of people started having sex somewhere around 16, 17, all the way till they were around 22. Like, most people, had their first sexual experience in and around that time. You could even stretch it at 24 for some, but for quite a number of people, it was kind of around that area. And you think about it, people have been having sex since then. Like, there's a lot of people that are sexually active from that time. These were the same people who, when they were having uniform on, were busy saying tumechil. Like, when they were in primary school, when they were getting into high school, they were like tumechil, nimechil. Like, that was something that existed as an ideology for a lot of us as kids, but we dumped that ideology the moment we got a chance to go and do it. And, a bunch of adolescents happened to us. You look at also the idea of wacha mpango wa kando. I can remember when Jimmy Gatho used to do those ads all the time. And people used to talk about how infidelity is such a bad thing and you shouldn't be doing it and it's expensive and it takes more from you than it gives. But look at the way people are fucking around out here. Like, fine, yes, maybe that campaign was probably like 20 years ago, but how long has that ideology held up for a good chunk of the people out here that are fucking around? Because it's not like they didn't watch those ads back in the day. It's not like they didn't know whatever it is that happens out here. Like, they saw the campaign, they probably even sided with it, and they probably understood it, on paper. But once they got a feel of the environment and they kind of chose to go down that route because, on a moral level, it didn't really hurt them all that much, like, they're doing their thing. So I think more and more people need to understand that a lot of the ideologies that you hold right now aren't ideologies that you'll necessarily hold for the rest of your life. So it's not like you have to go and hammer down on them or decide to go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Like, you don't have to do that shit. You can just as easily shut the fuck up. Just listen to someone. Go and learn about the person. Be open to the experience of experiencing this person. And then maybe over time you can see whether it's an ideology that you'd want to hold on to, or it's an ideology that you'd probably drop, or maybe it's just something that you probably don't feel comfortable talking about. Because in as much as there's people that are going to be like, oh, biological clock this, biological clock that, like, there's babes that are getting married much later and having kids at like 35, 37, and the kids are coming out healthy. Like, there's women out here that are busy talking about how men are predators, but there's babes out here that are meeting great guys, getting into relationships, getting married and having great relationships. There's people that talk about not dating down, and there's people who've dated down and they've had very successful relationships. Ladies, I'm talking about you. There's guys that will say, oh, you don't date a babe not unless if she's younger than you. There's guys that are dating babes that are older than them and they have a great relationship, make more than them, great relationship. So don't assume that those ideologies appeal or work with every single person. A lot of times those ideologies affect a very nuanced group of people, but even though it doesn't and it affects a general group of people, it might not affect the individual that you are experiencing whatever it is that you're experiencing with at that time. So please, that ideology doesn't need to hold up all that much, because at the end of the day, whoever it is that was behind that ideology can very easily switch up and leave you holding on to that ideology and nothing else, which for a lot of people is basically just a bunch of hot air. So if anything, be willing to change your ideologies if it suits you. If it puts you in a better position, be willing to change your ideologies. But if that's not the case, also learn to shut the fuck up so that you don't sabotage your chances at a good relationship with people. Because fuck me, there's so many people right now that complain about this shit where it's like, oh, up until they started talking about, oh, feminism this, or how women are oppressed by men here, or how toxic men are, or, oh, like modern feminism today, blah, blah. Like, most of these things aren't helping the bulk of you as far as getting into relationships is concerned. If that's what you're interested in, get into a relationship first, worry about that shit after, okay? Or just shut the fuck up, okay? And to kind of conclude all of this, as I've been trying to say for, the last probably 3-4 minutes, whatever ideologies you have, shut the fuck up about them. Like, they won't keep you warm at night, they won't cuddle you, and they probably won't even last long enough for you to really enjoy them. So just shut the fuck up, go out there and date people openly for real. Learn about people, okay? Learn the person that you're dating and see if whatever it is that you believe, does it apply to them or not? If not, continue on. You don't have to stick to that ideology, but you can still get into a much better relationship minus that ideology. Anyways, I could be wrong, I could be right. Either way, I want your thoughts on it. The DMs are open on IG. It is at the breaktime_podcast. On Facebook, it is at the breaktime podcast. On X, it is at Bagaka the D. And on Bluesky, it is at the breaktimepod.bsky.social. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.